Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott. The program in which you are about to listen to is called Can We Talk? It's an informative program that comes to you every week. And one of the things that we talk about is real estate and how it affects you and what's happening in the market today. There's a lot of things that are going on, and program actually is quite informative. We try to keep you abreast of current events, national events, but more importantly, we try to figure out how is it going to affect you and how is it going to affect your life. I'm Charles Scott Sr. I am the broker for Tri-State Realty in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and throughout the state of Connecticut. We are a full-service agency to assist you with all of your planning and real estate needs. Today with me is my son, Charles Scott Jr. He's also a broker with Tri-State Realty. He's been in the business for how many years now?
About 13 years now.
13 years, time flies. He's my mini-me and counterpart. And so today we're going to have a discussion on some of the things, and he's going to tell you how he also can assist you. And with that, I just make a slight introduction. Good afternoon, Charles.
Good afternoon, Father. Definitely.
Father-son team. And as I said before, we are going to probably talk about some of the things that may be able to help you and some of the current events. One of the things that's going on, and my son's going to attest to that and tell you about some of his experiences. What are we all looking for right now, and what's the big buzzword? Interest rates. Right now, the economy has been buzzing along. They're concerned about it buzzing along a little too fast. We got supply crunch. The container ships are out in the ocean trying to get stocks for groceries, gas, cars, and it boils down to even homes. And what's happening is there's a big supply shortage. But one of the things that's looming on the sidelines right now is the interest rates. And maybe we'll tell you a little bit about, how does that happen? What happened? Why are the interest rates looking to go up? Maybe you can add a little bit to that.
Oh yeah, you see through the economy, you see on the news every day, interest rates are going up, and what that is going to affect the mortgage prices. People think, today I qualify for $300,000 for a house. I'll wait till summertime, springtime, then I'll start looking. But the thing is, they'll wait till then. They'll go check with the bank. Am I still pre-qualified for $300,000? They'll say, no, interest rates have gone up. You're actually pre-qualified for less, $250,000. So now all the houses you've been looking at, you no longer qualify for them, and you're in a predicament at that point.
That's right, because what's happening is the interest rates, they don't go up a tremendous amount all at one time. They're talking about, first it was like maybe 1, then it was 2, then it was 3. That means 3 different increases. Now what are they talking about, as many as 4?
Yeah, they're saying it could be as many as 4 increases this year, 2022. So as you can see, we being in January now is the time to start looking for a house, most definitely.
Exactly, because what's going to happen is that once these interest rates go up, that means your mortgage payment is going to be more. Even though today, the interest rates are fixed, what happens is that rate that you get is for 30 years, unless maybe down the road you refinance if the interest rates go down. But as you know, one of the things right now, we got the lowest interest rates that have occurred in the last
That's true.
30 years.
Right now is the time, most definitely.
Now is the time to buy if you're looking to purchase a home, because the interest rates that are there now are rock bottom, and that's why they're looking to increase these interest rates to slow down the economy. If they make borrowing money a little harder, then they figure that people will not buy as much, and when they slow down, that'll equal what's on the shelves. If you have a lot of people buying, then inflation's what's going to happen?
Inevitable.
It's going to get out of hand, and things are just going to go higher and higher and higher and higher. So, one of the things that we're encouraging our buyers is that they got to get out there, they got to act now, and they got to start looking for, homes. You're dealing with the market. What do you find a lot of the buyers are coming from? Where do you feel as though they're coming from?
Well, right now, us being the Fairfield County area, we see a lot of New Yorkers coming in. A lot of people coming from out of state, coming in here to buy houses, and they have an unfair advantage. They have actually a lot higher incomes in New York, and they can qualify for more.
Yes, and especially if they've sold a home in New York.
Very true.
So you have an individual that's maybe bought a little brownstone for $100,000 maybe 8 years ago, and now all of a sudden they sold it for $800,000, $900,000. So they have more of an income. And one of the things we are working with is uncertainty.
Yes.
First-time buyers. We specialize in working with a lot of first-time buyers, and the first-time buyers, what do you find?
Oh, wow, first-time buyers. Yeah, we definitely work with first-time buyers. You'll see they come into the market with high hopes. They want their dream home, but they don't realize sometimes the dream home will be your second, your third home. Your goal is to get into the market as soon as possible and get a property secured and owned. And at that point, you can build it up into your dream home, or stay in that property for a few years, sell it, and get the equity and money you need to get into your dream home.
Yes, and a lot of times when you look on the listings, what will it say? It'll say starter house.
Yes, starter house. Definitely.
Maybe explain a bit. What's a starter house?
Starter house. You'll see a starter house is the house you go into. You come in, you see, oh, there's carpet, but I want hardwood floors. Yes, that's your starter. That's one of your first starter obligations right there. You're going to turn that carpet into the hardwood floors. You don't look for the house with everything already completed. That's the house everybody's looking for. You're looking for the house where you can have your own imagination and say, what can I do to make this house mine?
Speaking about the house that everybody wants, you and I went to an open house.
Yes.
Not this Sunday, but Sunday.
Previous Sunday.
Previous Sunday. We haven't seen too many open houses recently because of the COVID
Yes.
and some of the things that have been going on.
But they're coming back.
But they're starting to come back, and this was a property, and the open house was just for a 3-hour period. And maybe tell a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, so from 12 to 3, short window of time for an open house. And the cars were down the street. 50 plus people were there for this one little open house, And what do we see? New York license plates.
Yes, that over 50 people come into one open house to look at properties. And
Yes.
what's that do? That pushes the price up, and there's the competition, because people are all out there looking and looking and looking. And one of the things that we find is that the marketplace has slowed down a little bit. But when we say slow down, that means that rather than having 15 offers on a house, now it's got 8 offers, or 9 or 10.
Very true.
So slow down, but still very, very hot. So it's a matter of getting out there and buying. Now, one of the reasons why the market is so hot is because what drives housing? I always say to people, when people get motivated to buy a house? When the rents go up.
Yes.
So maybe you do a lot of people that are calling, and I say, call this number. I flip them over to you.
Correct. Yes.
So maybe tell the audience out there, what do you experience with rentals?
What I've seen over the last few months is just an increase in price. You're seeing numbers that you just never seen before in Bridgeport, Fairfield County in general. Rents are going up. The rents are comparable to mortgage. Actually, it's cheaper to own a house right now. The mortgages are cheaper than what the rents are monthly.
Yes.
You're seeing rents for a 1-bedroom over $1,000, and it's also due to the inflation. As you can see, there's like a stranglehold on everything.
Yes.
Supply chain affects everything else, the housing, and goes on to the rentals.
And there's not a lot of rentals out there. I know in one particular city, we were looking in the city of, was it Waterbury? Remember that?
Yes, Waterbury.
And a lot of people come out of New York. They go into the next city, which is where there's a fair amount of rentals, which would be Stanford.
Yes, Stanford.
Now, Stanford, the rents are through the roof. So next city they wander over to is Norwalk. Now, I can remember when Norwalk rents were very low. But now you got all of those abandoned factories that have been converted into gated communities, waterfront, and those rents in those places are $2,000, $3,000 a month.
Yes.
So they say, oh, we can't stay here. Then you go down a little bit, you run into Fairfield. Well, forget about that. A lot of those cities, Fairfield, Easton, Reading, they don't have rentals.
Rentals and much.
Then you go into your next area, Bridgeport. And then what do you find? The rents in Bridgeport have gone up, right?
Substantially, yes. And I get a lot of calls from New Yorkers, actually. I memorized that 646 area code. They're coming into the city and they're driving the price up in the rents. Landlords have, their pick up to choosing. People are coming in that are very qualified from New York. They make high incomes and they're willing to live in Bridgeport and commute to work. Just get on the Metro North, they'll be at work within the hour.
And the other thing is that a lot of the people around here have been pushed down into the valley.
Yes.
Maybe tell a little bit about the valley, what's happening down in the
Yes,
valley.
because after Bridgeport, we go that. We got Seymour, Ansonia, Derby. Those are always known as the places you can get rent for under $1,000. You get a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom studio apartment, very cheap. But now with people being pushed now from Bridgeport into the valley, those prices are increasing too. You're seeing a lot of rents in Derby, the valley, Seymour, Ansonia, they're going up substantially.
And, we were like amazed. Remember looking into even Waterbury. People are getting pushed all the way down into Waterbury.
Yes.
And there was at one point only, 9 rentals available?
Yeah, 9 rentals available.
9 apartment rentals available on what we call the multiple listing service. That means if you're coming all the way down from New York and you want to see what we have available, 9 rents and that's it. And people say, well, where's all the rest of them? We say, there's not too many more.
That's it.
And to make it even, a little bit more, give you more information, we were saying, well, maybe it's just us. Let's call around and maybe we could make a deal with some of the other agencies out there and other rental companies that have, a lot of rents, and maybe send some of our people over to them. So we made a call to another management company that usually has a lot of rentals, and we said, well, do you have any rentals? They said, nothing. They said, call us back next week. Maybe we'll have something.
Call back next week.
And I'm like, you got hundreds and hundreds of apartments, and there's no. They said,
no vacancy.
We don't have any vacancies at all.
Wow.
So, what's happening is that a lot of times these people that are renting, if they have credit and if they have a good job and they have savings, and you don't need a lot. Just look at it this way. If you rent an apartment, you're going to need 2 months security and 1 month's rent. So you got to save up some money. You just can't go up, knock on the door of the landlord. The landlord's going to give you the keys. So
Nope.
If the rent is $1,500, you got to have almost $5,000 just to get started.
Exactly.
That's not including moving your furniture and putting it inside the apartment. So, you need about $5,000 just to go out and get an apartment. So when you're buying a house, in some cases, you might need 3% down. So, and then some of the times we can maybe ask the seller to help with the closing costs.
Correct.
There's some first-time home buyer programs that we may be able to get you into. But we encourage you to save as much money as you possibly can, and that is, to save and save and save, because the prices, and we had that article, what did it say? What to look for in 2022.
Yes.
Remember that article? And this is an article put together by the economists, all of the people on Wall Street, the big housing companies, and they said, look for this to happen in 2022. One of them was shortage of houses, cost of lumber.
Yes.
Tell them about the cost of lumber.
Yes, the raw materials used to build these houses are becoming more expensive. The builders have to pay more for, the bricks, lumber, cement, and they're going to pass that cost along to the person that is the developer that buys the property, buys the land. He's going to pass that on to the people that buy the house, and when they rent it out, they're going to pass it on to the renter. Everything's increasing right now. And now's the time would be definitely to get pre-qualified and, get into a house, because I can see comparable to rent, it's cheaper to buy a house now comparing to rent.
Some of the things that are out there.
Yes.
And they're talking about building new housing in Stanford. They're building new housing around the train station, Norwalk, Bridgeport, luxury housing. They say market rate housing. But because the rate of the cost of the housing is going so high, even market rate housing, you're talking about quite a bit of money to rent an apartment. And you're not talking about building big. That's the other thing coming. You don't look for any homes that are being built. Don't look for a big house, because they're not building them unless they're building something out in Greenwich or Easton or out in the country. what do you call them? The micro mansions, the big house, because they're millions of dollars. If a person's going to build a house, he can't afford all that lumber and all that labor, so they're going to build smaller houses. They even got now, what do they call them? The granny houses, the little
homes,
the little homes that they put in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, the state of Connecticut just recently passed a law that if you've got enough land, you can build a little micro house in back of your house as an in-law house. It's about as big as
a studio apartment or less.
Well, I think it's a little less than that. What do they call them? The container ships that are out there?
Yeah, just
imagine
about the same
one
size.
of the container ships, or imagine the tractor trailers going down the highway. You take the container and you cut 2 windows in it. You put the steps going up there, and inside they have a little bathroom. They have the bed that folds down. It's like years ago in New York City, where you had one room, and you kitchen table fold down, the bed fell down.
Yeah, everything's folded.
You got a little stove that you pull out, and that's where housing is really headed.
Yes.
Because what's happening is people cannot afford to build bigger homes. The other thing that we see is people moving in together with other people to share.
Yes.
Because it's not that, there was that one YouTube what was it, video that said the ball game is over or something.
Yeah, you see, they said the party was over.
The party is over.
And they were talking to us about how people are just moving in with family members, consolidating, saving money.
Everything is consolidating.
Yes.
And if you get a chance, go to YouTube and look up the video. It's called "The Party is Over." And this gentleman and the people are talking about how housing is in all of America is changing. It's not here.
Yes.
It's in D.C., it's in California, it's in Maine, it's in the Southwest, it's in Las Vegas, it's in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York. It's happening all over, everywhere, just like the supply chain crisis. We don't just have a shortage in Connecticut. There's a shortage in all of the states, all 50 states is a shortage. So what do? We try to give you information and this program to say, look, this is what's going to happen. This is some of the things that you have to do to prepare for it. Don't be reactionary. Plan ahead. Plan for what's going to happen in some of these things. Because if you're looking for an apartment, come on as strong as you can. Fix your credit. Save up some money. Stay on the job. Don't jump too many different jobs. Build up a good landlord relationship if you can. Because a lot of the people now, the first thing they want to know is, where do you live? If you say, oh, I'm living with my mother, I'm living with my father, and they're like, okay, why? Why don't you have an apartment? What happened in the past? Why, who's your landlord? What's the reference? You got to say, it's almost like going to get a job. You got to put together your resume. When you're looking for an apartment, you got to put together your resume. Because right now what's happening is landlords are being more picky than they were before. And you have some of these landlords that are coming in, and they remodel and everything. They come in and they tear it all apart, put in the granite countertops, put in the stainless steel appliances. But the reverse of that is they charge a lot of rent.
Yep, the rent reflects that.
The rent reflects that.
Got to pay for those granite countertops.
Right. So it's a matter of you have to pay for what you get. And years ago, people bought homes for a 3-family house, $40,000, $50,000. So the rent didn't have to be high, because the house didn't cost that much.
Exactly.
Now that same house is $300,000, $400,000.
Yes.
So that new landlord cannot charge the same rent as the old landlord.
He's got to recoup his investment. He's going to have rents that reflect that.
That's right.
And these New Yorkers come in, they buy these multifamilies in Bridgeport. they make the rent $1,400 a month for the second floor, third floor $1,300, first floor 2,100, and to them that's New York. I will be paying 3 times as much. These
That's
Bridgeport people should be all right, but they don't realize they're increasing the rent for everyone.
Exactly.
The market's going up.
That's exactly what's happening. And one of the things is that we keep encouraging people, buy your own house.
Correct. There you
Don't
go.
pay for the landlord's house, buy your own house. Because what happens is this new guy who bought the house, his mortgage is not no $800 or $1,000. His new mortgage is maybe $2,500 or $3,000. So he can't afford to charge you what the old landlord was charging you, because his mortgage is also skyrocketing. Now what's happening is, like a lot of people say, well, oh, he's only going to get that for so long, and then he's not going to be able to get it anymore. Well, years ago that was true, but what we see happening, and we're only telling you what we see happening, is that the people coming out of New York that cannot buy, they are renting also, but they have large incomes, so they can't afford to pay that high rent because, hey, New York is only what, 45 minutes away drive or an hour's drive, so maybe it's a cab driver who makes $200,000 a year. Maybe it's a bus driver who makes $150,000 a year. Maybe it's a janitor that makes $100,000 a year out of New York, so he can afford to pay those rents. And so the people coming out of New York buy the house in this area, and they turn around and they rent it to people that follow him or her from New York that are still renting. So a lot of what we're trying to tell you is that there's a lot of changes. A lot of things are going on. A lot of changes are going to occur. We can assist you. If you just tuned in, again, this is my son,
Charles Scott Jr.
Charles Scott Jr. I'm Charles Scott Sr. And today we got a team going, and we're trying to tell you what we can do to help you and give you some ideas as to what's happening in the real estate market within Fairfield County and New Haven County. I am the past president of the Greater Bridgeport Board of Realtors, and I'm also the past president of the Greater Waterbury Board of Realtors, and I serve on a lot of the committees in the state, and I teach a lot of home buying classes. For the nonprofits, I teach classes on what you need to do to help improve your credit, what you need to do to buy a house, and also some of the things that you need to do to improve your equity and your wealth, build up your wealth, get involved in real estate. Have something to leave to your children, your sons, like Charles here. Charles has been a homeowner for many years.
Almost a decade, say this year.
Yeah, and he's still young, and he started out with 2 houses, and so he's been doing it for quite a while, and he's a landlord. He's dealing with tenants, and
so we see the day to day. We see the environment, so we're basically we can educate the public on. That's our goal.
Right, and he's experienced in properties and dealing with tenants and dealing with people that are purchasing. I myself, I've owned over 30 properties. So we're not only telling you some of the things that are going on and giving you some ideas that can help you, but we've experienced it.
Yes.
We've dealt with. I've been through the good times, the bad times. I've been through real estate where back in the 80s when it was booming, and then everything went down, and then I dealt with it in the 90s when it went up and went down, and back in 2008 when we had the big crash, I was involved in that, and I saw what happened there. Now here, fast forward 2022, so I've seen it go up and down, up and down, up and down. But one thing I can say is that every time it goes up and down, it always goes up higher than it comes down.
Yes.
So that it's like going up a steps. You go up one step, you come down a little, you go up. But in the long run,
it's still going up.
It's still going up. Real
Yes.
estate has always been, in the long run, a good investment. So if you're out there and you need some advice, or you want to know, what should I do? I think the biggest problem that we see is inaction.
Yes, in action.
You know, what's that Nike commercial? Just do it.
Just do it, right?
Do your homework now, first of all. Do your homework, study the market, study things. You know, go to YouTube, listen to all of the different people that are telling you. I find YouTube to be a wealth of information.
Yes.
Don't you?
Honestly, yes. YouTube, like I was telling them, I wish I had YouTube 10 years ago. All the information they have about real estate now, I was going to the library, ordering books. A lot of it's on YouTube for free. A lot of information to make you know when you come into the office, you'll be an expert too. Let's find a house. You know exactly where you're going to go and what not to look for. And when you do find something you do look for, how to seize it and make the opportunity count.
Well, you wish you had YouTube 10 years. I wish I had YouTube 40 years ago. I start watching and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I'd known that then. I wish I'd known that then. Many of you out there, you have the advantage of, without spending one single penny. You don't have, back in the day, I had to spend a lot of money on courses. Everybody was selling courses, and I'm talking about $300, $500, $1,000 to go to seminars.
How to buy, no money down.
How to buy, no money down. All of this and that.
Yeah.
Today, all of that's on YouTube.
All free, this access.
Rather than watching other stuff on TV and the sitcoms and this and that and the continuing sagas and the gloom and the doom, go to YouTube and Google what you want to know. You ask it a question. You don't even have to type anymore. My son taught me how.
Talking to the remote.
You just hit with the remote and say you come up with an idea, you just ask it a question. I compare it to Alexa.
Yeah. Also Alexa too. You can ask her a few questions.
Alexa. Ask Alexa. That's
like our silent partner in the office.
Oh yeah, I use Alexa. I use YouTube. People call me up and everything, and they think I'm smart, and I'll go ask Alexa, what's the answer to this? And I'll say this. Oh wow, Mr. Scott, you know so much, and I'm like, yeah, thank you, Alexa. And then Alexa says to me, thank you. So we carry on a conversation. So basically, as I said before, my name is Charles Scott Sr., and
I'm Charles Scott Jr.
We're here to help you
find your home.
Find your home, help you, give you information if you want some free information. Anything that you want to know that we can't find, well, go to YouTube.
Or visit us at tristaterealtyct.net.
Right. tristaterealtyct.com. Go to our website. In other words, go to our website, Tri-State Realty, which is the name, and ct.com, and you can, on there we have
properties,
real-time
properties,
searches, information. Doesn't cost you a penny, and we can tell you all of the different things that you need to know, and we have links to a lot of other things out there. So again, until next week, I'm Charles Scott Sr. with Charles Scott Jr. from Tri-State Realty and tristaterealtyct.com. Tune in, call us, see if we can help you. And until next week, God bless.
God bless.